Pavia will be surgical in 2025 for Vanderbilt, man. Get excited.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Shout out to you everydayers, especially. Thanks for making us part of your day, however you got here. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off of your first purchase. So it's an exciting time here. Scrimmage 1 is in the books. We are almost to that halfway point in the camp season. The regular season is rolling right along, right up quickly. It's gonna be here before you know it. Charleston Southern, we're gonna be teeing it off between I guess at the bank here in a couple of weeks or so. They're going to be tightening that last screw on the last seat there in the new south end zone. Like, it's going to be a lot of exciting things happening all at once. Start of football season, all that stuff's right around the corner. So Scrimmage 1 is in the books. The practices have been really, really good. Competitive balance has been outstanding. Even reading the reports of this scrimmage, and shout out to everybody who makes that happen, man. I'm very pleased with all the coverage. I think with football improving, I think the coverage of Vanderbilt football is improving and is becoming more detailed. And I've got plenty to react to and all that stuff. And it's all great detailed stuff. And, I greatly appreciate that. And that cannot be left unsaid. So that being said, lots of great things here. Diego Pavia, man, he's the mastery that he has of this offense. He's going to be absolutely surgical in 2025. And we'll tell you why here in just a minute. But man, I'm excited about that. The weapons are emerging. So, the pressure of Eli Stowers having to become the only thing, the it guy, getting all the double teams and teams really honing down on him. I'm not so sure they're going to be able to do that. I'm not so sure that defenses are going to be able to react the way they think they're going to be able to react against Vanderbilt, given what's going on with some of these guys emerging and some of the things that are happening. So the offensive line is close to finding their 5. I think they've pretty much found it. It's just going to be a matter of making sure that they are sure about that decision. Defense is going to be absolutely disgusting. It's going to be nasty, and all that in a good way, of course. The defensive line is ridiculous. The linebacking core is probably even better than the defensive line. You got a lot of dynamic athletes on the back end at safety. Like, you're going to get a variety of different things from the safety position, and I think that's going to be a good thing. And then the cornerbacks are, it's going to be a really nice rotation of guys back there that are capable of playing. Competition is breeding production out there at the cornerback position, and that's a really good thing. Same with the safety position. Really the same across the board at all positions. I think you're getting the opposite. The competition aspect can go one of two ways. Like, competition can either say, all right, we're going to have a clear winner and somebody that's hustling backwards, and you're going to be able to get that answer, and it's going to be clear, right? And that's not a good thing. Like, for one side to win, the other side has to lose. And I know that seems like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but like, I think Vanderbilt's found a way to say, okay, this side can win while this side simultaneously wins as well. And that's been something that I've been pleased with this team, because it shows that the offense responds, then the defense responds, then the offense responds. Like, they're going back and forth, and that, for competitive balance purposes, that's absolutely amazing. So Diego Pavia, though, but he's going to be surgical. And I said it as the cold open. I led you down this path a little bit. I'm going to tell you why. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Here's a quote that this leads me to believe that, like, we are light years ahead of where we were at this point last season. At this point last season, I probably wasn't the only one, but there was a lot of people in the mindset of Vanderbilt is not going to score many points. They're going to have to rely on defense. They're going to have to rely on smoke and mirrors, whatever. They're going to have to somehow grind the clock if they want to have any shot at winning. Now, I think the same is true this year. However, it's less drastic. It's less of they have to versus that's kind of their identity now, but they can be a little more explosive as well. And here's why. This quote really stood out to me. Talking about Diego Pavia's mastery of the offense. He's Tim Beck said he's phenomenal at being able to check stuff at the line of scrimmage. Beck said a lot of times we give him 2 plays to go up, but every once in a while as a play caller, you can be wrong. And he does a terrific job of making us look right. Now, that's the dream of every offensive play caller, myself included, right? And unfortunately, at the high school level, very rarely do you get a quarterback that can make you right in those scenarios because they're high school kids, right? But you hope for the day of 75% of the time you're going to be good as a play caller. The other 25 is where the quarterback can come and help you out. And if you're in a great system and you have a great quarterback and they have developed, then they make that 25% better. They make the 25% of the time you call the bad play good, right? And they make you right because they can check in and out of things and they have the comfort level with protection schemes, plays, whatever the case may be. They have that ability. And once a quarterback develops that, you're in a different level than others. Some teams, they can't do that. Nico was great, but I'm not sure without Josh Heupel in his helmet with the new helmet technology, I'm not sure what he was checking in and out of, right? There's other quarterbacks around too. I don't know who, and I don't know that Diego Pavia was able to do that a lot last year. I know he wasn't doing it early. He was probably improvising, but I guarantee you he didn't walk up the line and go, oh yeah, this is, we got to get out of this play. I don't think that he was quite there yet himself. This year he is. And some of that is because he's the unequivocal starter. And last year he was kind of looking over his shoulder in a competition with Nate Johnson because, they signed Nate Johnson out of the portal first. They had some NIL money sunk into him. So they wanted to give him a legitimate chance at beating out Diego Pavia. He could not do that. But I just don't know that Diego Pavia was on that level last year either. There's a lot of quarterbacks that aren't in college that aren't on that level. In the NFL, you're expected to be. You're paid to be. So that's not, if you throw out an NFL quarterback, that's not really a good example. But there's a ton of college quarterbacks that are, we call it, you run it. And occasionally they'll give a check with me and give them freedom. They'll give them a little bit of leeway here and there to see if they can earn it. Some do, some don't. And some are just strictly, hey, we call it, you run it. And then we'll talk about it on the sideline. And there's some that are, hey, we call it, you check it if you need to, make us right. And they do that. They do that very, very well. The elite ones do that extremely well. I guarantee you Garrett Nussmeier's doing it down at LSU. Guarantee Lenore Sellers now has checking power. I don't know that he had that a year ago when he was still trying to figure things out as a freshman, and the game was still moving very fast for him. But I'm pretty sure he probably has way more checking power, way more audible control than he did a year ago. I know there's other guys. Ty Simpson's probably been such a veteran in that system. He probably comes in, even as a new starter, comes in with checking ability, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what these other guys have. There's other quarterbacks around the country that have it. Freshmen typically do not. Newcomers typically do not have that. Do not have that check power yet. So that alone means that he really understands what we want to try to do. How defenses, he understands, and he's a forward thinker. He's an anticipatory thinker. He knows what these defenses want to do to him. He knows how they want to attack. He knows, hey, they're going to take away 9. They're going to take away me. They're going to take, they're going to force this into me dropping into the pocket and making it happen down the field. That's how defenses want to play. They're going to go man on the outside, maybe even press. They're going to load the box and say, beat us. We don't think you can. And I guarantee you, he has a better understanding of the offense. So I think he's going to get defenses out of that real quick, right? He's going to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, also on the flip side, I think he's dangerous enough as a runner that they may not bring crazy blitzes or what they call exotics. They may not do that kind of stuff because they know they'll get burned pretty quickly with his athleticism. But I do think they're going to play some games with him, some slow rushes, some twists, some stunts, some things that, kind of wacky, but still have guys in contain. So I don't know. They're going to try to, sometimes against fast quarterbacks, you try to do the push the pocket from the inside type rush and just really kind of try to collapse things around him and just kind of slowly force that and just kind of bottle him in and make him throw from the pocket. Now, if he can get comfortable throwing from the pocket, teams are going to really struggle against him because he can run. And then if he can start beating you from the pocket, like, the slow rush isn't going to work because he's going to be able to get the ball out. So there's other weapons emerging. There's things happening around him. The offensive line's getting more comfortable. He's getting more comfortable calling protections. He's getting more comfortable getting in and out of plays, getting in and out of good and bad plays, things like that. More so than just check with me. I think sometimes, he and they start, and I think they did a good job of starting him kind of slow with, okay, here's a couple of plays. You choose the best one, give us our best look. We like this one, but if you get this look, can it? And they're probably saying that in his ear too. So I'm pretty excited. Here's a quote again. This lets me know, this quote right here should fire you up too. It lets us know that he's on the right track. It lets us know that this ain't the same Diego Pavia from a year ago. Like, there's something different about him, right? He's taking a way heavier leadership role, and he is going to take this thing to the next level. Like I said, he's going to be surgical. He's going to be surgical. That's exactly what's going to happen. So I'm very excited about it. You should be too. But if he's going to be surgical, things need to happen around him. The weapons need to emerge. Who's that going to be? Well, we're going to talk about who's that's going to be next. All right, first I want to talk to you about GameTime because we've all been there, man, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Probably Oasis, if I had to guess. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where GameTime comes in. GameTime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Man, who wouldn't love that, man? Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with killer last-minute deals. So, are you tired of all the endless scrolling to find the best deal? Well, GameTime Zone Deal picks the best seat in your section for you. I had a friend that used GameTime to buy some concert tickets when he was here in Nashville, and it was amazing. It was Luke Bryan, and it was great, man. He got the best deal. He was able to, he's able to do it last minute and all that good stuff, man. The zone deals were amazing. And he's also, like, he was worried about his seat, and he was able to look at the panoramic seat view so that he wasn't surprised and he knew what he was getting. And he went through with it and he had a great time. And, I love the fact that with GameTime, the price you pay the price you see is the price you pay, right? There's no hidden fees. He loved that too. I think there's a lot of like relief in that, knowing that, hey, I'm not going to pay, they're not going to come smack me in the face with some hidden fee or some like surprise charge or whatever. What you see is what you pay. And, and of course, he's probably felt comfortable as well with the GameTime guarantee because they have cancellation protection, and man, it makes you feel good. It gives you peace of mind, right? If you're worried about if plans change or you get sick or whatever the case may be, cancellation protection is there with the GameTime guarantee. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Shout out to the everydayers. Shout out to whoever, whenever you got here. Thank you. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Talking about the first scrimmage right now. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC, Chris Gordy. Is the place to go, man. And hopefully Chris Gordy will be talking a little bit more about Diego Pavia this season. As like I said, he's going to be surgical. He's going to be absolutely surgical. And this is going to be, the grasp that he has of the offense is truly, truly amazing. But some things that we notice coming in, coming off a scrimmage, like there's a lot of things that they either get you excited, get you fired up, or they get you fired down, which I don't want to get anybody fired down, right? I don't want to get anybody, all in their feels about Vanderbilt football, because I think there's a lot of great things happening with this team, both offensively and defensively. And like I said earlier, the competitive balance is absolutely outstanding. So lots of positive coming from this scrimmage, even though obviously there's negative things because everything is sunshine and rainbows. But to me, what I gather and what I take from it is a lot of those things are fixable. A lot of those things can be repped out. A lot of those things personnel wise or things like that. We'll talk about that here in just a second, but like a lot of those things can be fixed. So here's, offensively, man, like I said, Diego Pavia special, his talents in 2025 will go beyond his physical traits. He's sharp, right? He understands it. And we talked about it. He understands it. He's going to be able to be more surgical, both pre-snap and post-snap. So I'm excited about that. But I'm really excited about the wide receivers, right? We know about Trey Richardson. Trent Hudson was stepping up before he got injured. Junior Sherrill, leader of the pack, right? And he's unfortunately starting to slip into a little bit of his inconsistent ways as far as hot and cold, things like that. But man, this unit has been a pleasant surprise overall. I think a lot of guys are competing. A lot of guys are performing extremely well. Richie Hoskins had a monster day. He had 5 catches, 85 yards. I think he had. We'll give him the tutty, right? He took a seam route, got knocked down at the 1. Could have been ruled in, but who knows, right? If they had replay, it may have gotten turned over. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how close it was. I wasn't there. Unfortunately, but this is he's somebody that could emerge. I don't know what role he would play in this offense. I don't know where he fits in with Trey Richardson, with Junior Sherrill, with Trent Hudson. Likely, maybe he slots in as the X. I don't know. Tristan Brown as well has been somebody that's been pretty smooth, pretty fast. Probably the best pure hands on the team of anybody. So you have 3-4 guys right there. Hoskins, Richardson, Sherrill, and Tristan Brown right there just alone. Don't know about the health of Trent Hudson. Don't know how serious it is. But like you've got other guys emerging. So like if he's down for a while, this could be a situation where you're just fine. You just next man up, man. And Richie Hoskins can make some contested catches. I think you're going to have a really good rotation here of guys that can do certain things. And again, going back to the complementary style of football, like I don't think there's any true, not yet at least because we haven't played any games, but like I don't think there's any true like game breakers on this offense, like guys that you're just like, this guy's just going to like change the whole trajectory. Like he steps on the field, he's a game changer at the wide receiver position, right? Obviously, Diego Pavia is that, but he plays quarterback, he throws the ball, he distributes, all that's just good stuff. But as far as like the other weapons go, like Eli Stowers is probably as close to a game changer as possible, but like the scope of the tight end position, it's sort of limited, right? Into what you can do. Like there's only so far of an impact you have as a tight end or even as a flex tight end, right? There's only so much of an impact that you can have, right? Because you don't have that game-breaking speed. I don't know that anybody on this team does. Maybe Trey Richardson is a guy that can go get it deep. I haven't really seen him against other competition, so we'll see. Maybe that guy emerges. Maybe the way they use Eli Stowers we'll have him be a game-breaking type guy. But he is the last game-breaking tight end I saw was Brock Bowers, because he could run away from you, he could run through you, he could do a lot of different things. Is Eli Stowers Brock Bowers? I don't know that anybody's like Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers is an alien. He is an alien for the Las Vegas Raiders now too. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where Eli Stowers fits in this whole thing. So the weapons emerging. Trey Richardson, I think, is going to be lightning in a bottle. It's going to be tough to really kind of contain him a little bit. So I'm very, very excited about the possibility of that. Tristan Brown, I think, has some wheels. I just don't know. It's just too small of a sample size right now, right? It's just, you just kind of develop into some roles. And you get guys that are good at inbreakers, outbreakers. You get guys that have certain skills that they have that build a certain comfort level with Diego Pavia. I think that'll give you more answers than anything. And this is an offense that you just kind of base it on that. Like, hey, I've got a set of plays for Martell Height. He might be the dynamic guy that you're looking for. He might actually be the game changer. He didn't scrimmage. He didn't participate, probably more so load management than anything, but I think he's still in protocol actually too. So that doesn't help. Anyway, but you have certain guys that have certain skill sets that are going to be featured in certain ways. Like, you're going to have some go-tos in some certain categories. Like red zone, you might throw a front pylon pass to Richie Hoskins on the back shoulder, or some sort of comeback route where he comes back and gets it on the front pylon, contested with a guy draped all over him. Like, it's going to kind of seem. Don't stay with me on this comparison here, okay? It might seem like old school Patriots, where you have certain downfield guy, like no superstars, but like you had Danny Amendola who could run through a brick wall, run through traffic and make catches in traffic and do things with defenders around him, right? Julian Edelman is kind of your all around short to intermediate guy that can make you miss and is quicker than he is fast. And you have a field stretcher, and you had a field stretcher with Randy Moss. He's the greatest receiver to ever lace him up, but I don't know that Vandy has that. But they're just going to have to get the point is, they're going to have to get creative with their receivers. They're going to have to figure out ways to really amplify what they do well and really find guys to help them mask what other guys don't do so well, right? You got to have another go-to guy if, like, hey, you've got a group of receivers that can do X, Y, Z, but like, when you need something, like maybe this guy's not as good as this guy at it, and you just build that into your offense. And that's what Tim Beck and Jerry Kill are going to be. That's what they're going to be creative with. So we're going to continue this offensive discussion, but you're going to have to stick around, because we'll be right back. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're wrapping it up, man. This show went by fast, man, because we're talking about offense. We're talking about how they're surging ahead, and I don't know that we're going to be able to get to the defensive side of the ball, because I still want to talk about the offensive line. I want to talk about the run game. So we're going to have to make tomorrow a defensive day. Tomorrow's episode, the next episode, is going to have to be a defensive episode. So you're going to just have to, because Steve Gregory, I think, is doing some great things over there creatively with personnel. So I'm very excited about that. So, this team is like, they're starting to come together. Last year didn't, at this point, you just weren't sure. You just weren't sure, because nobody really believed last year that some kid that had a really nice night against Auburn could have the season he had. I guarantee you, nobody had faith in Clark Lee coming off a 2-10 season. Nobody thought he could do it. Nobody thought he could transform the defense. Nobody thought any of these transfers were going to be either worth a dang or had the chance to be worth a dang because of coaching. Like, a lot of things were up in the air last year. The offense couldn't quite click. They were still learning. The offensive line was still, they were just kind of rumbling, bumbling, stumbling through the practices, and just couldn't seem to kind of really gain foothold. And then all of a sudden, boom, Virginia Tech, they have a good game, and then they just catch fire, right? This year, it's a different story. And that's exciting. It's very exciting. It's a different story. I think your offensive line is a lot further along. And it's not that you have a whole bunch of returners. You have one guy who started last year coming back to start on this offensive line. So it's not like you can say, hey, you got an offensive line coming back. Yeah, of course, it's year two. They're going to be great. That's not true at all. You got four. You're going to have four new starters who aren't used to the whole flip-flopping thing. That's what's crazy about this. But this offense is a lot further along. Could they be better? Yeah, they probably could be better. They're still gelling, but they're a lot further along than they were. So brings me to my next point, man. I'm very excited about the units, but none of the weapons, but none of this matters if the offensive line is no good. And I think really I feel good about saying that they're going to be really good. I think they found their five. I think it took them to almost opening kickoff to really find their five last year. This year, I think they've got it. I think McConnell, as of right now, McConnell may have beaten out Sterling Porsche, which is incredible. McConnell is somebody who, it was starting to look like he was going to be a forever reserve. And he was going to be a backup center. Jordan White, obviously a bona fide NFL guy. Sterling Porsche, I think, honestly, what got Sterling Porsche is he didn't come in the spring. Everyone else came in the spring. McConnell was, he was a returner. He knew the system. So I think he was able to take advantage of that. So here's one reason why I think the offense has been kind of up and down in camp to this point, because any year, you name the year, you name the team. I guarantee you, unless the team has three or more of their starters coming back, I guarantee you, every team you read about that doesn't have a lot of offensive line starters coming back in a particular season, their practice reports would probably look a lot similar. You have days where you have pre-snap penalties in live periods. You have a lot of shuffling. You're not sure who's doing what. These guys aren't really, when it comes to pass protection, they're not really on the same page. The running game is lacking because they're just not together. A lot of that is just they're not together. And for Vanderbilt, there's another layer of they're just not used to the strong side, quick side, flip-flopping thing. And that's a totally normal thing. But I think when they find it now, I think they found the guys. It seems like they found the guys. You're reading, you read about, okay, well, these five were together, and it's been pretty consistently. So I think they found their five. And my God, once they kind of figure out each other, which I think they are, oh boy, they're gonna start moving some people now, right? Because that's the unit now, and I think they're still looking for to round out their rotational list, but I think you found your five that are going to come in and just absolutely maul people, right? And the identity is, hey, we're going to run this freaking rock, man. Diego Pavia is going to run it. Cedric Alexander is going to run it. MK Young's going to run it. I think they're going to start. This is where the gelling begins now, right? This is where the real chemistry building process begins, right? Because now is the time. Once you establish, which I think they either have or they're really close. Once you establish that five, then you start to establish the communication. And that communication can even, there's offensive lines that gel so hard that their chemistry is just so strong that it almost seems like they communicate telepathically, right? They didn't have to say anything. They just know that, hey, whatever the scenario is, they're going to, it just works out. And those are those veteran offensive lines. Those are those offensive lines that are well coached, well prepared, and buy into not only the coaching, not only the offense, they buy into each other. They're like, man, I know you're elite. I know you got my back. That's why all those elite special forces are so dangerous. Because they gel, dude. They have true chemistry. And offensive lines, I know it's like war and football, but as far as the chemistry and the camaraderie and all that, it's parallel. to special forces. That level of chemistry is what has to happen on an offensive line if you're going to be successful, because it's the only unit that all 5 guys have to be in sync or the play is completely foobar. And that's true. So that's kind of how they go. That's kind of how they're going. So with all of that, as they gel, the run game's struggling. We know that. And it's okay because the offensive line's not gelled. So, one guy's kind of off. If one guy's kind of off, there's a gap there, or there's like the timing is disrupted, the handoff is disrupted. There's a lot of things that are disrupted in the play that is just not good. So that'll take care of itself as the offensive line now gels, as that unit now becomes the go-to unit. So, but the scrimmage one, to me, it's a massive success. To me, you got better. It may not look like it in certain areas, but you got better. Defense made their share of plays. Offense made their share of plays. And there was a fair share of boneheadedness between the two, which is fine. That's, you do that in a scrimmage so that you can fix it, so that you don't do it against Charleston Southern or Virginia Tech or South Carolina and so on and so forth, right? You make those mistakes. You take those risks. You take those chances to see where those lines are. And I'm glad that it's not just like the defensive line steamrolling every single rep, which I think they did their fair share. And we're going to talk about that in the next episode. But very exciting about scrimmage one. We're not done breaking this one down. I'm sure there's going to be another practice in there before we're going to wrap that up. So I'm going to make sure I talk about the defense in the scrimmage from the weekend. I'll make sure I talk about them and give them their proper love as well. But the offense, I think there's plenty of exciting things there. I think, like I said, the notion of this team is exciting. Diego Pavia is going to be surgical, which is great. And I think that's going to be uplifted by the offensive line. It's going to be uplifted by the running game. It's going to be uplifted by the fact that he's got reliable people to throw to on the outside besides Eli Stowers. All that is exciting. So buckle up, enjoy the ride, because it's going to be a fun one. And speaking of fun rides, Locked On Vandy is going to be a fun ride. So you better buckle up too. Get on board, man. It's fun, right? It's fun over here. I'm having fun. I'm having so much fun. I broke my air conditioning. So that's great, right? Any air conditioning people out there that just love the show and want to help out, come my way. Anyway, anchor down. Peace. We'll see you back here next time. Locked On Vandy. Like and subscribe. All that good stuff. And we'll see you back here next time.